Boom! Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's Friday night if you're watching live. Here we go. It's international break. It's the only way. It's the only way. We've got the Chinese on download. I mean the takeaway, not real Chinese. And we're live on the United Stand. The Milky Bars are on me. Anyway, Mourinho, Jose Mourinho has come out and said that Manchester City are not to be feared and are not Manchester United's biggest title rivals. We'll also be talking Perisic, Bailly and Mkhitaryan, and also the Milky Bars are on me because I'll be taking some of your questions later, which will be very interesting TV considering, well, we all know what the situation is, but let's just say the tongue is loose. But let's start off with Jose Mourinho saying that Manchester City are not Manchester United's biggest title rivals. And what he's basically saying is that they're not Manchester United's biggest title rivals. End of show. No, what he really is saying is they're not. And he's right, because what he's basically saying is that Manchester United's biggest title rival is Manchester United. When you look at Manchester United over the last 4 years, it's been a bit like Total Eclipse by the Heart by Bonnie Tyler. Once upon a time there was light in my life, now there's only love in the dark. The last 4 years has been darkness, but lots of love from United fans after that 20 odd years of light and love from Sir Alex Ferguson. But under Mourinho, we're starting to see the light again. The magic touch is back. But look at Manchester United last season, the season before, the season before. We have not achieved the level that Manchester United should achieve. Struggling for 4th place is not what Manchester United should be about. The club, the finances do not level up with that. United, whether we should win the league on every year or not, we should be battling for 1st or 2nd or 3rd at once. Then for the last 4 years, it's not been good enough. So what Mourinho is saying is that, look, Manchester City have had a very good start to the season, but they're not Manchester United's biggest rival, because Manchester United's biggest rival is themselves. And he's very happy with the start to the season because United have done things that rivals want to say, oh, you've not played anybody any good, you've not been tested, la-di-da and all that. But the reality is, Manchester United over the last few years would not have taken the points they've taken against West Ham at home, against, Southampton away, Everton at home. These were games that we were drawing. So there is progress and we are getting back to Manchester United. And I think some United fans, myself included sometimes, oh, we haven't played anybody, we need to be tested. But we're actually sprinting ahead of the position we've been in the last 4 years, which is mediocre results. And now we've got those results against those teams that, yes, United should beat, but haven't beat for the last 4 years. We're like, oh, we haven't played anybody yet. But the reality is, there is massive progression from United under Mourinho. And what Mourinho is doing is very clever. He's basically saying that, yeah, Manchester City are obviously going to be our main title contenders. Of course they will be. But Manchester United will win this league unless Manchester United defeat themselves. United should not have a title rival, whether it's City or Chelsea or anybody. We should not be inferior or scared of anybody. Manchester United title ambitions and aspirations are dictated to by what Manchester United do in a season. And that is to do with what we do. Manchester United don't need to worry about anybody else. Everyone else can sit down and take the L in relation to what we are as a club, our support, our size. Take the L. We've got to take care of our own business, and that's what Mourinho is basically saying. What I also wanted to say was that in relation to Manchester United as well, is that Mourinho said that in any other league, our start to the season would basically be you're going to be the title winners because the start has been almost flawless apart from that result against Stoke. And the way the Premier League's gone, Man City have gone with us. But in any other league, that sort of form would be title winners. I don't know necessarily whether I agree with Mourinho on that. I think, it's still very early in the season. We've had a fantastic start. We're beating teams we used to draw against. But Liverpool, a week tomorrow, can't wait for it. Bring it on. I think we're good enough to beat them. I just hope we approach the game in the right way. Thanks for that, Six Very He says, great video this morning. Yeah, back on a walk to work this morning. I enjoyed it. And Angel Paul says, I'm worried we won't score many goals versus the big teams in away games like last season. It depends how Mourinho approaches the game. It really does depend how he approaches the game. So we'll see what happens with that. 102 likes already. That's fantastic. Thanks for liking the video. Maybe we normally get that. I don't know. The next thing I want to talk about is Ivan Perisic, because Perisic to Manchester United is being mentioned again today. I always wanted Perisic to come to Manchester United. I think he would have been a revelation down that left or right hand side. He's very two-footed. He's got 3 goals and 3 assists this season at Inter. Who cares? It doesn't matter what he does in Serie A. It's what he would have done in the Premier League. I think he would have been very good. I think Mourinho wanted him. We couldn't get the deal done. The reason he's being mentioned with Manchester United again is because we were linked to him all summer. He signed a new contract at Inter Milan, and it's come out in the last few days that he's got a buyout clause of €60 million, which is around £50 million, which is what we weren't willing to pay for him anyway. And in a year's time, he'll be 29. So I don't think anything's going to happen with that, but that's why Perisic is being mentioned in relation to Manchester United. Of more importance, Mkhitaryan's come out and apologised to the Armenians because they got pounded 6-1 by Poland. This is reflective of Mkhitaryan at the moment. He's just not quite hitting the heights that he should do. Mkhitaryan's a watching brief in relation to United, let's be totally honest. I don't know which way it's going to go. I felt Mkhitaryan was a fantastic signing for Manchester United, and I still think he could turn it around like turning a switch. He's a fantastic player, but at the moment he's operating at about 60% of his capabilities, and you know, Kagawa was a good player, but he couldn't do it in the Premier League. Is Mkhitaryan going to go down that same route? I think Mkhitaryan is superior to Kagawa, and he's shown glimpses in the Premier League of what he can do. But I do feel that he's in that sort of phase of trying too hard, and Martial's the perfect solution, an example of that. I mean, last season under Mourinho, he was trying too hard and it wasn't coming off. This season, he's like Mr. Efficient. I mean, Anthony Martial's won Player of the Month again for Manchester United. He's not even starting games and he's Player of the Month. I mean, Mourinho, he's not burying his head in the sand like an ostrich. He must realise that 99% of Manchester United fans want Martial to start. Martial is our best player. He's the most efficient and skillful flair player we have. Starting, I think if Martial starts against Liverpool, we'll win that game. Do I think Mourinho will start him? Probably not. Eric Bay's also made some comments. Eric Bay always makes comments on international break. Don't know why. He's basically come out and said that there's no guarantees with Manchester United at the moment. He's got no confidence that he's going to start games, even though him and Phil Jones have started the season off really well, which they have. But there's 4 centre-backs, he says. There's Smalling, Lindelof, him and Jones. And it's all about who's going to form the best partnership, which I think is quite interesting because Daley Blind has always been considered to be a centre-back for United because he's played there. But I don't think he is for Mourinho unless he's really desperate. I think Blind is his sort of backup left-back. And Blind, obviously, as I said this morning, linked with a move to Fenerbahce. I do like Daley Blind. But he is a backup player and he needs to sort of sit down and take the L on that. You're a backup, Daley, and Holland are crap. But there you go. I've said the truth. That's what it's all about. Eric Bay and Phil Jones are the first choice centre-backs at the moment. I think I like Chris Smalling. I've always liked Chris Smalling. I think he's a very good... In the position Smalling's in at the moment as the deputy centre-back, it's perfect. I actually trust him to be a first choice centre-back, but you know, I'm very happy with Chris Smalling at the moment. I'm giving you a couple of minutes warning because I'm going to start taking your questions in a minute and it's going to go off. It is Friday night. I have had a few drinks. I have got the old whiskey on the go. It's only once a week. Bring it on. I'm like, the Milky Bars are on me. We'll take the lot. Idrissa says, Mark, this is my last warning for you. Please leave Fellaini alone. I know what you think about him, but I think he's so... Oh, Idrissa, sit down and take the L. When have I even mentioned Fellaini tonight? You're either a very clever worm trying to pull me in, or you're an idiot. I've not even mentioned him. He's not even on the agenda. I wasn't even going to mention him tonight. You brought him into the equation. Gungshi says, Bay need not worry. He's front of the queue when it comes to central defenders. And Matic has been the best signing, says T-Dog Man for about the 10th time in the live comments. Bloody hell, mate. You know, just sit down. Don't worry about it. Very steady to have available when called upon, says Scott H, but doesn't give us the name. And Mark, do you think we should be looking at Van Dijk? No, I don't. I think Bay's better than Van Dijk. I think Phil Jones, if he can stay fit, is a perfect sort of partner for Bailly. I think Rojo will be the perfect partner. I mean, these people who think Rojo can play left back make me laugh. Rojo is a tragic left back, but a very good centre back under Mourinho, so he's got to play there. Shivan says, I'm going to Anfield next week. Is there any way we could do a Skype video call so I can give my opinion about it? You can get on the fan cams with Flex. He's going to be at Anfield next week, so just go and see him. I'll tell you where he's going to be. Get yourself on the United stand. If you're going to be on our fan cams, though, I've just got to say to you, don't be boring. Be animated. Give an opinion. Otherwise, we won't upload it. This is the real world. Let's get with it. I'm not in that world of, oh, let's hug everybody and everyone's got a chance. You gotta give people what they want. You gotta give them some entertainment. Otherwise, forget it. If Phil Jones stays fit, rest in peace Lindelof's career, says Fionn. It's a big if to say Phil Jones is gonna stay fit. Has Lindelof been up to expectations, says Brian Lee. Too early to judge, Brian. Too early to judge. I think Mourinho's feeding him in. Anaban says, I loved the video on United's team in 5 years. I really did. Thanks for that, Anaban. Where's the Ireland versus Moldova watch along? We're not going to get it on the United stand. That's football for a start. And Mark, do you think we should Carl Venter says, Mark, do you think we should Alexandro in the summer? Yeah, we're all going to Alexandro, whatever that means. I think he means should we sign Alexandro? To which I say, he'd be very good left back. I'll have a sip of the whiskey for that. I'm running low on resources. Lindelof is not better than Van Dijk, says JD. I don't know, whatever. I ain't bothered about Van Dijk. Is he a Manchester United player? Did he play against us? He screwed his career up trying to get a move to Liverpool. Phil Jones is good and only 20. Oh, give me some good questions. I mean, you know what? I'm not criticising anybody here, but let's be honest. Do people really want to watch videos talking about Phil Jones and Lindelof? Give me some good questions. God, you're the dictators of this show tonight. Give me some good questions. Give me something controversial. Give me a question that's going to really make people think, oh, I wish I'd watched that stream. They ain't going to want to watch it for Phil Jones. Trust me, they're not. What will Ibrahimovic do when he comes back, says Harron? Well, he'll score goals if he starts games. And United have already scored 1/3 of the goals we scored last season. A big positive, says Sashmit, the nerd. And Lindelof was a stupid buy, says Ryan. I disagree. I think he'll be a good signing. Oh, God. Lindelof's not even much better than Jones. Stop with the Lindelof questions and the Phil Jones questions. They're boring. Nobody's interested in them. They're centre-backs. Glamour. Pimp it up. Give it some pimp. My Chinese will be here in 10 minutes. I'll leave you. Pimp it up. When will Pogba return, says Annika? Well, he is training again. I don't know what's going on with Pogba. Will Gomez start any games for Manchester United this year, says Mohammed? Probably not. Could Liverpool win United's beat? Oh, I don't know. I can't even read that question. Do you think there'll be a January transfer, says Shah Hussein? No. Who do you think has been the most influential signing for Manchester United in the post-Sir Alex Ferguson era? Good question from Red Devils Weekly. The most influential signing from Manchester United in the post-Sir Alex Ferguson year is... I'll tell you after the break. No, it is... it's probably this summer. It's probably Lukaku or Matic. Because... Pogba's been a good signing, but he's not been fantastic. They're all the best signings have been Mourinho's. I think Mata was a good signing, but he did spend a few years under Van Gaal when we were inept. The most effective signings since Sir Alex retired are definitely Mourinho ones because they've hit the ground running. I don't think you could give it to Matic or Lukaku because let's not forget Bailly was fantastic in his first few games and we're only at the start of October. So it's either Matic, Lukaku or Bailly in my opinion because they've hit the ground running the most. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that, so I am. Can we see 3-5-2 away to Liverpool, says Anakat? No. So, you think Griezmann will join, says Jack Lucy? I do, mate. I really do. I think Griezmann's going to sign for United. Kieran Burns says, I went round Malahide today and they all said they never heard of you. There's a statue in the middle of Malahide. If you walk outside of Gibney's, take your first right, left, and then it's right in front of you on someone's front garden. Me. A statue of me, Malahide in Dublin. We should get Alexandro, says Fortune. Thank you. Will Herrera play in big away games and in the Champions League, says Leo Mellor. Well, I think he's got to play against Liverpool. I think we need to play a midfield 3. A midfield 2 of Matic and Fellaini against Liverpool is a bloody suicide mission, as crap as they are. Rojo or Bay for me, says Rahib. Mark, do yourself a favour and stay off air when you've had a drink, says Michael Moon. Sit down. Where do you think we'll be in the league after the next 4 games, says Darren O'Brien. So the next 4 games are Liverpool away, Huddersfield away, Spurs at home, Chelsea away. So 12 points. I think we will get 7 points. I'm not going to tell who we're going to lose to and who we're going to draw to, but I think 7 points. I think the next international break, City will be clear at the top by 5 points. And I hope United prove me wrong, but I just think that Liverpool away, Huddersfield away will win. Spurs, I think, will be a draw, and Chelsea, I think, will lose. So 7 from 12. But they're 3 tough games in 4 games. If we were level with City at the next international break, we'll win the league. Because to be level with City after that run of games would be fantastic. Dutch Mass says, Mark, when you've had a drink, the show is the best. My liver is not going to allow us to do that very often. They do increase a little bit more over Christmas. That's what I would say. If you like it when I've had a drink, there'll be a few more over Christmas. There's a light that never goes out. Can't beat a bit of the Smiths. As well as the midfield needs an upgrade, I think Saul from Atletico and another strong midfielder in case of injuries, says Dabrian Hines. In 10 years, Martial would have won the Ballon d'Or 2 times, says T-Dog Man. There's no bigger fan than Martial. There's no bigger fan of Martial than me. I think he's fantastic. I absolutely do. I love him. I think he's great. Mark, do you think Alexis Sanchez will try hard for Arsenal this season? Would you, Jay Harrod? I wouldn't. I think Ozil's of the same opinion. You're going into January where you can sign for somebody. Why try hard? Imagine if you did the cruciate ligament if you were Ozil or Sanchez and you've got no contract. I mean, Arsenal are thick. They're really thick. They've got loads of players who are in the last year of their contract and they expect them to play for the badge. Why would you do it? Why would you do it? You know, I'm not putting the Fellaini wig on. Would you rather have Pulisic on the right and have Pereira in number 10 rather than signing Griezmann, says Calvin? Yes. Kelius wants me to sing again. Many don't. Should Mkhitaryan be on the bench against Liverpool, says Amith? Yes. What is your prediction for United versus Liverpool, says Harron? I'll do it next week. Would I let Fellaini marry my wife for him to leave our club, says Fashion? I love my wife. I'm not giving my wife up for Fellaini. I'd rather he slept with me than he slept with my wife. I could deal with that mentally better. And players we need to buy for Champions League tilt, says Omar Khalid. Griezmann, number 10. Done. Pulisic. Oh, I'd love Pulisic. I love Pulisic. I've been telling people at work today, actually, because they've all been buying FIFA 18. I said, get Pulisic. And the great thing about Pulisic is I got him for 15 million on my career mode and somebody at work spent 38. Oh, the banter. I do work in Birmingham, Kieran. Liverpool is the worst team in the top 6. Do you agree, Mark, says Fortune? I think at the moment they probably are. Arsenal were pushing them, but they've done a little bit better. Liverpool defence is rubbish, says Ibrahim. I mean, realistically, if United go to that game against Liverpool and do it properly, then Liverpool should need to score 2 goals to beat us, because we should score at least... No, sorry, 3 goals, because we should score at least 2 goals against their defence. But I've got a funny feeling Mourinho might do what he did last year, show way too much respect to Liverpool and defend. Sam Burgess, Fellaini loves Mark. I actually do think that Fellaini is aware of the United stand, by the way, and I think Mourinho is as well. I'm not bothered, because if he gets motivated because I don't like him, then that's better for United, isn't it? I'll tell you the honest truth, and I know this for a fact, that there are quite a lot of United players who watch the United stand. Which isn't surprising. If somebody said that to me 2 years ago, I'd have been, whatever. What are you talking about? But we're quite big now because of you lot, and I know for a fact that there are a few United players who watch the United stand. So hello and welcome. We like some of you we don't. Rooney used to hate the show because we were very critical of him. I know that for a fact as well. But we're only critical of players because Manchester United's more important than the player. I mean, let's be honest. Will Mourinho stay for more than 3 years, says Omar? I think he'll definitely be here for 3 years. He'll be here for this season and he'll definitely be here for next year. I think that is the tipping point, isn't it? He's got to have won the title in the first 3 years. I don't think United will get rid of him. It's whether Mourinho wants to stay, if that makes sense. Are you going to do a ramble with Robbie anytime soon, Mark Gungshi? Well, I was going to do a ramble with Robbie last week, but I'm disgusted. He's had the money's gone to his head. He thinks he's a celebrity. He's gone and got a stupid hairstyle. He doesn't look like the raw Robbie I like. He's gone and got all bloody cut up and everything like that. He looks like an absolute ponce. I might just do one on Sunday morning just to humiliate the little prat. Klopp will get sacked, says Dalraj. A lot of Liverpool fans still love Klopp. If they beat United next week, it'll be like their cup final. How do you know if United players watch, says Ronak? I know they do. Definitely. You can believe me or not, I definitely know that they do. And there's lots of things around sensitivity and confidentiality that I can't go through, but I know that they do. Plus, the United Stand is very popular now. I know a lot of people don't like it and pretend they don't like it, but United Stand is watched a lot. And don't ever forget that you are a massive part of the United Stand. Your live comments are going up right next to me. And I know, if you want to know the truth about the United Stand, I can tell you for a fact that my wife watches it and she spends most of the time reading the live comments, as does her friend, as do a couple of people I know. So you lot think you're watching me. Actually, a lot of people watch the United Stand to read the live comments, of which you are the stars of the show. So don't think there's any arrogance. Oh, people watch the United Stand and they're United players. Of course they do. We're massive anyway. And I say massive, comparatively. The United Stand is pretty well known amongst the United community. And people do watch it because you, the real fans, are making comments. And people, as much as they say, oh, I don't listen, I don't feed the trolls, I don't read the press. Nonsense. Footballers have got more free time than anybody. They spend a lot of time reading the press. They spend a lot of time watching content and looking on Twitter about what's being said about them. Otherwise, why do people like Anthony Martial reply to random tweets about themselves on Twitter? I know for a fact that they do read a lot of things on social media and they watch a lot of the big things, and some of them will be watching this. And you know what? I like most Manchester United players. I think they're doing fantastically at the Well, but I'll always put the club first. And if you don't actually perform in a shirt, you will get criticised. End of. You should do a show with your wife too, says Dan there. She won't do a show with... What sort of show? Dan, what are you talking about? We're not that sort of channel. Lukaku versus Bay in training must be unreal, says Fion Curtin. I tell you what as well. And I'll say this from the bottom of my heart, and I know a few people have been saying this recently, but I'm just going to give you my angle on it because a lot of people have been asking me this. In fact, I've had 4 DMs this week on Twitter about it. Who's better, Lukaku or Kane? Lukaku's better. If you watched England last night, or you've been watching Harry Kane for England over the last couple of years, or you've watched Spurs in the majority of Champions League games, or you've watched Spurs in the majority of their big games, you will know Harry Kane is a very, very good striker, but he's not world class. You know why he's not world class? Because he can't create something out of nothing. He is a goal scorer who needs good service. Now, that is not a criticism of Harry Kane. I'm old enough to remember Gary Lineker. He was a very good goal scorer, but you put Gary Lineker in an average side that doesn't create chances, and he's an average player. Gary Lineker needed service. Harry Kane needs service. Lukaku can thrive off service, but he can also create something out of nothing. And Lukaku, for me, is better than Harry Kane. Hands down. For that reason, because he'll create something out of nothing, whereas Harry Kane struggles to do that. It's not that he never does it. He has done it. But Lukaku is better at it. And that, for me, makes him better. I'd love it. I don't really feel we've had that 5-star question tonight. And I don't know what it is. It could be anything. I don't know what that question is, but I'm pretty sure it's out there. That 5-star question that's going to make me go, that's the sort of questions we should have been having tonight. Wang Chuk says Harry Kane's not the real deal. Lukaku is. And Martial watches, we are not worthy. I don't know whether Anthony Martial watches, but he should do, because I love Anthony Martial. The United Stand officially loves Anthony Martial, and vote, to be honest, most of you lot do as well. Can Kevin De Bruyne be the difference in the title race? Oh, why? Why is Kevin De Bruyne the difference in the title race? I don't know where this Kevin De Bruyne loving has come from for Fanta Pants, but I love that line. Fanta Pants. I bet most of you don't even get what I mean. But Fanta Pants has got the same stats as Martial, and Martial hasn't started anywhere near the same sort of game. So Kevin De Bruyne is a good player, but I'm not scared of De Bruyne. I'm more scared of David Silva and Aguero. De Bruyne is De Bruyne. I think you could mark De Bruyne out the game quite comfortably. He's a good player, but De Bruyne doesn't concern me. And I think we've got better players. Are we a better team with Pogba in it, says Joe Stanley? Well, of course we are, because you drop Fellaini and you play Pogba. Easy answer. Snap says that all his questions and comments are 5-star. I don't feel as if I don't know what the question is, like I say, but I don't feel as if I've hit it tonight. Will De Gea stay next season, says Haroon. I think he will stay for another year, yeah. If one player could call in the Skype show, who would you choose, says Richard Stainer. That's a good. That is a good question. I wouldn't say it's 5-star, but it's a good question. If one player could call in, who would it be? Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to humiliate a United player so it wouldn't be Fellaini. I think I'd probably go for somebody like Martial, because he seems very quiet, but I really like him, so I think it would be Martial. Herrera can pocket De Bruyne, says Zach MU. I agree with that. Mark, would you rather keep and train Gomez or bring in Perisic, says Brevy Boy. Keep Gomez. Messi is unmarkable, says JD. Well, Peru did quite well last night. Sit down. And could Pereira take over from Herrera, says Wayne Brilliant. I think he needs to improve the defensive side of his game. What do we need to win the league, says ADWS. Consistency. If United are consistent like they've been so far, we'll win the league. And Fellaini staying, you can... Oh, I'm not reading that comment. Why do you think Mourinho isn't playing Herrera, says Wackass? I think it's because he's not signed a new contract, to be totally honest. And what will be Premier League starting 11 based on performances this year? I can't even understand that question. I'm sure in your head it's good. Do you think that we are 2 centre midfielders short, says Andrew Ellis? I don't think we've got the depth in the midfield. I said that in the summer though, and if people who watched the United Stand in the summer, you'll know that was said. I felt we needed another centre midfielder. I spoke about it this morning. I'd get Ross Barkley in January for 20 million. I know a lot of people aren't convinced by him, but look at what Mourinho's done with Jones and Rojo. Barkley's still about 23 or 24. He's got loads and loads of scope in relation to his potential. He's quick, he's skillful, he's tenacious. I think if the right manager could turn him into a really good midfielder, and I'm not saying he'd start for United, but he'd be certainly a contender. I think he'd be a really good player. David Wilson. Mark, did you see the United Stand have a dig at you in their last video? I don't know how that could have happened, because I do the United Stand videos and I very much doubt I'd dig myself out. Zico123. I'm not even reading your comment. Do we have enough leaders in our team? That's a really good question. It's gone past too quick. So whoever answered it, well done. Yeah, I think that's the big improvement with the United this season. I think we do have leaders. You've got people like Matic. We've got a really strong spine. Lukaku's a leader from the front. He's, being a leader is not necessarily being a captain, but what he does from the front, he is a leader. De Gea's a leader in relation to what he does in goal. Matic is a leader. I think Bailly and Jones have done very well. I just feel the United's biggest issue at the moment is the number 10 position. I don't think Mkhitaryan's doing as well as he could do. He's doing okay, he could do better. David Wilson, name the channel. I'd love to know what you're talking about. I really would. And who will be in our team this time next year, says Jake Pullman. Griezmann. Mark, what was the moment you fell in love with United? Says Ryan McSwiggan. Look, I was talking about somebody about this today. I mean, that's a very good question, Ryan, whether it's intentional or not. I was doing the watch-along for the England game last night on That's Football, which I've not watched England play in qualifiers for loads of times because they're rubbish, and I was proved right again last night. Boring. But during the watch-along, we were talking about different aspects of the game, and somebody said that Messi's better than Maradona, and I said, sit down. Maradona's better than Messi because Maradona... I can solve that problem in one sentence, even though it's a bigger conversation. The one sentence that kills it is that Maradona won a World Cup single-handedly for Argentina in '86, to which people came back and said, oh, the '86 World Cup was rubbish, all the teams were rubbish. And I said, that's nonsense. That is nonsense. The difference is, in '86 and '90, which I remember better, nobody knew who played for Argentina or Italy or Spain or anything like that, because football was very different then. Like nowadays, we've got wall-to-wall football. We know everything about the Premier League clubs. You know everybody who plays for Bournemouth. You know everybody who plays for the top Serie A and their Liga teams. You know everyone who plays for their national teams. You know football like the back of your hand. In '86, '90, nobody really knew anything about football. You knew your national team and the team you supported. And unless you went to the ground to watch them play, you probably got to see the team you supported 3-4 times a season, because you had the live match on a Sunday afternoon on UK, and that was it. There was no Wednesday night, there was no Monday night. It was slim pickings. You didn't get to watch your team as much unless you went to the ground. So '86 World Cup, it's all right to say, oh, the opposition was rubbish. It wasn't rubbish. It was as good as it's ever been. We just didn't know who was playing for the oppositions in the national teams because we didn't get the publicity then. I mean, in the late '80s, you wouldn't even know who played for Aston Villa and they were in the top league. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it because it just wasn't that. Football wasn't like that then. You supported your team. You followed their results. Most of it was done on something called teletext, page 302. You didn't, you were lucky if you got to see your team's goals because, the football just wasn't easily accessible like it is now. So if you're a young kid now who's grown up with the Premier League and the Champions League, all you've ever known is knowing all this about football. But when I was a kid, it was the late '80s. You didn't know who even played for like Italy or anything like that. You didn't know until the World Cup was on and you'd go, oh, that Scalacci looks quite good, but you didn't know anything about him or Baggio. So my love for Manchester United was basically based off VHS and my granddad. I used to go around my granddad's, and I had quite a young uncle who still lived with his mum and dad, who was my granddad and my grandma, because my mum was a lot older. And you'd go around, well, actually my mum used to work, so I'd go back to my gran and granddad's after school, and they'd be watching VHS football on their telly, funnily enough, while they're having their tea, and I'd be in there with them. And I remember the videos. They had Brazil 1970, which was basically Brazil's run through the World Cup to win it in 1970. They had Manchester United in the 60s, which was basically all about United in the 60s. They had a Busby Babes VHS, and they had the story of United, which was basically pretty much from the 50s right the way through until about 86. And that's what I used to grow up with. So my love for Manchester United really grew off watching VHS videos with my granddad and my uncle. And then the odd game I'd get to see. But I lived in Nottingham. There was no Sky Sports then. I mean, the first live game I went to watch United was Forest against United in the FA Cup quarter-final in '89. That was my first trip to Old Trafford. The only reason I got to go to that because it was near my birthday, and obviously it was Forest, so we got tickets and I went up and Forest won 1-0. I was devastated, but my dad said to me, I'll take you to the semi-final at Hillsborough, which was Forest against Liverpool, which was obviously the tragedy, which I was at. So yeah, I think when I was a kid, I got to see, the only time I ever got to see United play was when they played Forest. So I was at the Forest game where Mark Robins scored, the game where Sir Alex Ferguson was apparently going to get the sack, although Martin Edwards, the chairman, has said he wasn't. I was at that game. The third game I saw United was the Rumbelows Cup final in '92. Again, Forest against United. So my first 3 times watching United were Forest against United, but my love for United started, in the mid '80s, watching videos with my granddad about Busby Babes and everything like that. Do you think class of '92 should be more involved in the club? Says Jose Young. No, I don't. I don't think that at all. I think you can get lost in sentimentality, and the reality is, if I could pick a Manchester United manager, it would be Brian Robson or Roy Keane, because on the pitch they were just leaders on the pitch, but as managers they clearly don't have it. And Jose Mourinho never played football really at any level, and look at him as a manager. It's a rarity, I think, that you get a top class player and a top class manager. And people will say Zidane, but I think Zidane's done very well at Real Madrid. I like the way that the Real Madrid team isn't about Galacticos, it's a team. You look at that midfield three and it's a team. But would Zidane have done it at Everton? I don't think he would. We've had a comment. We've had a super chat comment that I've got to read out. It's from James Howell. He says, Mark, if you're able to make a hand in the decision, which player absolutely has to go and one player difference maker to bring in, who would they be? So if I had a decision on what one player I'd get rid of and what one player I'd bring in. So I would bring a player in at number 10, because I think number 10 is the big weakness we have at the moment. What player would I get rid of if I could get rid of one player? I know who it is. I'm not going to say it because it really shouldn't be coming into a show at the moment, especially when a lot of people really like him and it just sounds like I'm hating on him. But I've been very consistent about it for 3 years. He's just not the sort of player I want at United. So everyone knows who it is. I'm not even going to be horrible and mention his name, but I would get rid of him, give him the chance. Richard Stainer says Mark Robins should get the statue outside the ground. I remember being at that game, and it was a good. Stuart Pearce used to live up the road from me, and he was a bit of an idol of mine growing up, because professional footballer, when you're a kid, it doesn't matter whether it's the club you support or not. You know, if Gary Lineker had lived up my road, I would have loved him. So Stuart Pearce used to live up the road from me, and he was actually marking Mark Robins on that, and he was a very good left back, Stuart Pearce, but Robins did him on that, and yeah. That was the first round. I remember the replays against. I can't remember who it was who we played in the semi-final. I think it was Oldham. I think we played Oldham in the semi-finals, and it was it went to replay, and then obviously Crystal Palace in the final. Yeah, it was good. The FA Cup used to be very important in them days. The FA Cup. I mean, you young lads now and girls, you would not understand how big the FA Cup. The first FA Cup game I remember of any note was 87, Coventry against Spurs, and it seemed to go on for hours, and it was a cracking game. I vaguely remember United winning in 85, just like glimpse memories because I was very young. But the first cup final I remember watching and remembering a lot about it was Coventry against Spurs, and everybody used to watch the FA Cup final. 88 Liverpool Wimbledon, brilliant, absolutely loved that, really did. I think 89 was Everton against Liverpool, and Liverpool won it in extra time, if I remember correctly. And 90 was obviously United. 91 was Forest Spurs. I didn't go to that, in case anybody wants to ask. I didn't. Anyway, I don't know whether I'm rambling now. I don't love the FA Cup anymore. Somebody just said they love it. I don't. I think that the FA Cup was magical when I was growing up, but the FA ruined it. They've destroyed it. It's not as good anymore. Lukaku versus Arthur Vidal in an octagon, says Fionn Curtin. Yeah, they are sort of like that sort of player, aren't they? They are. Yeah, they are sort of UFC. Jack Sandu, I like this question. What are the key ingredients of a great manager? I tweeted it out of my account tonight, actually. I saw a picture of Sir Alex Ferguson, and it just made me feel nostalgic in the sense that he is just... I think when he dies, as is the way in life, when a great dies, you appreciate them more. I just think Sir Alex Ferguson is just the perfect manager. He had his faults, but he's the perfect manager, because I think we live in a world that everybody sort of aspires to be perfect, and you can't do this, you can't do that. And actually, when you look through history, the greats aren't the people who are perfect. The greats are the people who had that rough edge, that sort of passion, that drive. Whether it's people like Steve McQueen or Sir Alex Ferguson or George Best, they've got that edge, that vulnerability. And Sir Alex Ferguson's edge was he'd blow his top. You know, he would lose his temper a lot of the time. And George Best's edge was, well, we know what that was. So all the greats have a flaw. And I think we all aspire in this modern day to this, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. And, well, hopefully in the United Stand, you know that I'm not flawless at all. And I don't think any of you lot are. And I think that thing about Sir Alex Ferguson was the realism, the tantrums, but the brilliance in the man management was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Fantastic manager. I think Brian Clough pushes him close. Again, a flawed genius. Sometimes just went too far. But what he achieved as a manager was great with lesser clubs. But Sir Alex Ferguson's the greatest manager there's ever been. And I think, you know, Sir Alex obviously will die at some point. It's inevitable for everybody. But we don't really see anything of him anymore. I think that's sad because in a way he was like so prominent in our lives. And now we don't really see him. I wish he did a little more. I wish he did a few more interviews and gave us a little bit more insight because it feels like he's not around anymore. But what a manager he was. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And, you know, given me some of the happiest moments of my life. And that was from him. I mean, people go, what's wrong with the England team? And yeah, Henderson shouldn't play. Joe Hart shouldn't play. But most important of all, the manager. Because if you put Sir Alex Ferguson in charge of that England team, you can moan about depth and lack of quality, but he'd still get a lot more out of them than Southgate did. And yeah, he's a fantastic manager. And never a flawed manager. Went out on top, achieved things with people like Aberdeen against the big firm and the old firm, and you know, took his time at United. It took a little bit of work, but once he hit his groove, he reinvented himself so many times at United. Consistently good. Most people in football will go out on a low note, especially managers. They won't go out on a high. And he went out on a high, which is very hard to do. Very hard to do. You name me a manager that went out on a high. Most of them will go out on a low. And he went out on a high. Fantastic manager. Brendan Devlin, we have to stop looking back and start looking forward. Look, no, I'm looking back because I was asked a specific question. I totally agree. You know, the Liverpool are unveiling the Kenny Dalglish Stadium next week, live on the History Channel. You know, they're on every day on the History Channel, Liverpool, because that's all they've got. United, you know, there's time, you know, Manchester United should never not forget their history. It's so important to us. The Busby Babes, the 60s, where we went in the 70s and 80s, how we came back in the 90s and the noughties, and where we are now. It's all a journey, and we should never forget the past because that's what defines us as a club. But we should always look forward as well, and I think we all are. Don't forget to drop a like on the video tonight. I know some of you like this sort of content, so please do drop a like on it. I've got a cracker of a video coming up for you tomorrow. I just don't know what time I'm going to put it up. Probably going to go up around 2, I think. Yeah. I'm doing my FIFA 18 career mode on That's Football tonight at 11 o'clock for those who are interested in it. But I've enjoyed the show tonight. I think I could go on for a long time, but you know, we've all got a life and it's unfair. But to have 1,000 people watching on a Friday is fantastic. To have every one of those 1,000 people watching click the like button would be even more amazing. I feel that you could do that for us on the United Stand. Click that like button and let's just make something amazing happen. But I do remember when people were Sir Alex Ferguson out SL twice. I do remember twice. Look, football fans are unique. We are unique. We're passionate, and one bad result gets you really angry. But that's because we care, and it's irrational. How many live match reactions have I done over the last 3 years where I've gone absolutely mad because it's a live match reaction, and then a few hours later or the next day I'll come on and go, I probably overreacted on that. But that's what football fans are all about. That's what football's about. That's why we love it. I don't like sanctimonious people who go, oh, look at this video. Look at what Goldbridge said 3 months ago. You know, football is the most fast-moving pace game in the world, and something you think a week ago can make you look an idiot a week later. That's the beauty of football. If it was dull and boring and we make a statement now and we're still consistently thinking it in 3 months, then football wouldn't be. Football would be cricket. Football's football because it is so dynamic. It's a fantastic game. Anyway, you've been fantastic tonight. Really enjoyed it. And I have really enjoyed it. As I've said to you so many times, I can't do this show without you. And you may think that you're insignificant, but you're not to me and you're not to the channel, because every single comment contributes to what goes on. They go past on the screen. That makes you a part of the show. And I couldn't do this. I mean, could I speak for 40 minutes doing a pre-recorded video? Never. It'd be dull. And we've never done that. We'll always do it this way. So you are what make the channel, and your interaction makes it real. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sat in a room with nobody else in it looking at a camera, but I'm not really, and you're not really. You're part of something where wherever you are in the world, Australia, England, America, India, wherever you are, you're a part of this whenever we go live. Or if you don't watch it live, you're still a part of it. I've just realised I've just totally isolated people who don't watch it live. Oh, the banter. No, I haven't really. I'm only joking. You're all part of it. And yeah, it's really, really, really great what we've got. And the international break's crap. And the hardcore people are here helping ourselves through it. And the reality is, when you wake up tomorrow, you're 7 days away from one of the biggest games of the season. I hate Liverpool v United. I love it, but I hate it. I don't mind it when we play at the Old Trafford, because I feel that we've got gears to go through. But if things, I'm always on edge against Liverpool at Anfield, because it only takes 1 or 2 things to go wrong and you could be on an absolute hiding. So, but that's football. That is football. But this is the United stand. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for everyone who's dropped a like on the video. And I've got a great video for you tomorrow. A really good one. You will enjoy it. If you've not seen United's starting 11 in 5 years time, go and have a watch of it. But tomorrow's video I think is better than that one. It's good. It's really good. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.